Gaius Julius Caesar de Bello Gallico, Episode 33. Caesari cum id nuntiatum esset, eos per provinciam nostram itere facere cunari, maturat ab urbe proficisci, et quam maximis potest itineribus in Galliam ulteriorem contendit, et ad Genavam provenit. So first, a quick translation, somewhat rough, and then we will look at the grammar and syntax. When this fact had been announced to Caesar, namely that they were trying to make a journey through our province, he hastens, he being Caesar, to set out from the city, and he marches contendit to further Gaul in Galliam ulteriorem by itineribus, by marches that are the greatest possible, the greatest that he can, and he arrives at Geneva. Caesar begins with a cum clause, cum plus the subjunctive esset here, which is a third singular, imperfect, subjunctive, active, from the verb esse, of course. It's with nuntiatum, and so when we have the participle, this is from nuntio, nuntiare, when we have the participle with the form of esse, what we have in fact is a pluperfect. So we would call this a pluperfect. Did I say active? Yes, active for esset, but with nuntiatum, we would call this a pluperfect passive, the whole thing taking it as a verbal unit. The subject is id, which is neuter, singular, and nominative, and it refers to what has come before, namely that the Helvetians are planning to quit their territory and march through the Roman province, the province controlled by the Romans. So when this fact had been announced to Caesar, Caesari is the indirect object, masculine, singular, and dative. Now, cum, of course, here, when it is used with the subjunctive, in this kind of subordinate clause, has three potential meanings. It can be temporal, translated as when. It can be causal, translated as since or because into English. And it can be concessive, sometimes called adversative, which would mean although. And the context determines which. I believe that this is temporal. That's why I translated it as when it had been announced to Caesar. Now this clause here, from eos through conari, I am taking as a positive with id, apposition. So id here is a pronoun. It's being used as a substantive, that is, as a noun. And so this is an appositive, that is one noun restating another. So what was it that had been announced to Caesar? That they, eos, masculine, plural, accusative, and meaning, of course, the Helvetii, when that they, conari facere. So conari here is the infinitive. It is a first conjugation deponent verb, and it means to try or to attempt. That they were trying, conari, itera facere, to make a journey, to make an expedition. Iter, neuter, singular, and accusative. It's a third declension noun. It is the object of facere. That they were trying to travel, we might say, through our province, per with the accusative. When Caesar finds that out, he does three things: maturat, contendit, and pervenit. He hastens, maturo, maturare. This is a first conjugation verb. We have it here in the present tense, of course, because we have once again praesens historicum, the historical present for vivid narration. Caesar is describing in vivid terms what has already happened. He hastens, proficisci, to set out from the city. So he was already intending to set out, but he speeds up his timeline when he hears about this effort on the behalf of the Helvetii. And secondly, what does he do? He in Galliam ulteriorem contendit. He hastens, or he marches, he strives toward further Gaul, ulteriorem Galliam, and he does so itineribus. Now, itineribus here is a neuter, plural, ablative of instrument. He does so by means of marches, and these marches are quam maximis, as great as he can manage. This is to say that he drove his troops with all possible speed, as fast as they could go. Oftentimes we have in Caesar the phrase magnis itineribus, which means by forced marches. That is, the leaders, the centurions, are driving their own men at threat of penalty and punishment to go as fast as they can. Here we have an even more emphatic statement, quam maximis potest itineribus. So maturat, contendit, and now the third verb, and pervenit, and he arrives at Geneva, ad Genavam. So here we have pervenit from the fourth conjugation verb pervenio, pervenire, which is a compound, obviously, of per and venio, to arrive at a place, to reach a place. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that free lesson. Please like and subscribe, hit the bell. You can also become a patron at patreon.com/LatinPerDiem. And if you really loved it, you can leave a tip right here as a super fan. Thank you so much.